Good afternoon. This is Julia Widup with Talk Story TV, and I have with me today Tegon Moss, who's the author of Littlefield Chronicles, The Gift, and it's a science fiction book, and I'm looking forward to reading it. I used to be a member of the Denver Area Science Fiction Club, and I am looking forward to reading your book. So tell us a little bit about it.
This particular one is an action-adventure fantasy. This one isn't science fiction. I write a lot of science fiction. This particular one isn't in that group.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Sorry, I understand. Because we were talking about
Science fiction. Yeah.
Science fiction is probably 75% of the stuff that I write. So.
Okay. And you wrote a guest blog for us about writing science fiction, or just writing in general?
I did. Just writing in general about how things influence us as younger people.
And what advice did you give advice on to writers?
I wouldn't say so much advice, because I'm hardly the one to give advice, but pretty much what I wrote is how writing makes me feel, how reading makes me feel. That it's something that we should, something that should take us away to make things different and better in our lives. And that's what I like about science fiction, that it takes you someplace that you wouldn't ordinarily go, someplace that you would like to experience, and if it's good writing, it's something that fills you with a desire to be there, to experience it, to see and touch and feel that building.
Yeah, takes you away from all your problems.
Yeah, I would say so.
So, are you started on another article or another novel now?
I'm in the middle of writing the sequel to the book that we're talking about. It's called Black Moon, and it's kind of a murder mystery, as it were, set for that particular fantasy world.
Now, is this one a murder mystery too?
No. This one's more or less a redemption story.
Okay.
It's about one of my favorite actors was Wallace Berry. I'm sure you're way too young to remember him, but or most of you viewers are. But I loved his movies. He's a bad guy that, despite his nature to be a bad guy, he always does the right thing in the end. And that's the kind of character that I write, that they're like the reluctant hero, but their reluctance is that they're being pulled in the direction of self-interest compared to what's doing the right thing.
Okay,
and, Tucker Littlefield is definitely that character. He's in some of the reviews I've received, he's been likened to an uncle who's the black sheep of the family, who's trying to do good.
Okay.
And even though he's the main character, he really isn't a typical hero, kind of a hero. He's somebody you despise, but in the end wind up rooting for.
He's mending his ways.
Well, I think the way that I wrote it is he's compelled to do the things he doesn't really want to do, but ultimately makes the right decision.
Okay, this is going to be fun. And how do we get influenced by our everyday life?
Pardon me?
How do writers become influenced by their everyday life? I'm sorry, messing with my camera here.
For me, I see a lot of people during the course of the day. I'm an REO contractor, and I manage 115 different houses, and everybody has their own problem. And I see a lot of people who are incapable of handling the smallest, simplest little things that you would think everybody would know. That would be common sense. And the way they rationalize what they do or what they don't do, I find is very interesting. And it's part of what I use for some of my writing. I have a novel which is called Service Before Self. And it's about that very thing, about the way that people live their lives, and they think that it's okay.
Okay. What do you mean the way they live their lives? Like, give me an example of a very odd decision or a very odd reason for something.
I have a short story called Augie, and it's about a gentleman who lives off in the outside of the main thoroughfare, as it were, in the little town of Hemet, and he collects tons and tons and tons and tons of junk, broken televisions, airplane parts, cars, bicycles, anything and everything you can possibly imagine that looks like a regular junkyard. And he lives that way. And when you go into the house, it's stacked floor to ceiling with books and magazines, newspapers, and because I'm there as a service tech, he's trying to be hospitable and is offering me lunch, but in that effort of offering me lunch, on the countertop is a paper bag full of trash. He sweeps the bag off the countertop, and under it is a wet, sloppy mess and maggots and all that stuff. He takes the back of his hand, wipes the countertop, wipes the maggots off, and then throws 2 pieces of bread on top of it and says, "For you, I make lunch." And tell them they can't do that. We as a company person, cannot take food or drinks or that kind of stuff from customers and tenants and the like. Then he sort of understands but sort of doesn't. And so he's made himself a tuna sandwich. He puts up a can of cat food and pours the cat food on top of 2 pieces of bread, and to him, because it's tuna, cat food, tuna is tuna. It doesn't mean anything. It's all the same thing. And so in his mind, he's being hospitable. He's offering you lunch and made you a tuna sandwich. And in your mind, it's not exactly what you had in mind. Those are the types of things that I write.
How interesting. Okay.
So
and how did you...
I like to make not necessarily make people squirmish, but there's more than one way to perceive things. That if somebody offered you lunch and you're thinking a cheeseburger or peanut butter and jelly sandwich, not everything is the same for everybody. Yeah. That's the way that I like to write.
Okay. And how did you find a publisher?
This particular story, Littlefield, has been rejected about 47 times. All of my novels, all of my work, has been rejected a total of 211 times. And I had reached the point of, what's the point? And I had seen a news article about a woman who wrote a book, self-published it, was selling 144,000 copies of her book a month. She got an agent, and the agent took the book to a traditional publisher, and they told her that there wasn't any point in publishing, and she had already tapped out her market, that she had probably reached her peak, and they weren't interested. And that blew me away. I'm going, why in the world, first of all, would I want an agent? Why in the world would I try to get a traditional publisher if this woman's selling 144,000 copies a month? That's, my God, that's all I'm looking for. I could stay home, I could write, I could do everything else. I saw 144, oh, I care. Doesn't have to be in and so that motivated me to push me in the line of self-publishing. I had won a number of contests and things like that, and I had sent from one contest on Writers Cafe, I had sent off a couple of chapters to my publisher, and they asked to see the whole manuscript, and so then I sent them the whole manuscript. And pretty much from having seen that news article forward, I treated everything with I don't give a damn attitude from that point forward, because before then it was, what do you need? I can write anything you want. Tell me. I'll write whatever you want. Just let me write. And after being rejected the number of times I got rejected, I finally just said, you know what, the hell with it. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. I don't care. I'm writing for me. I'm not writing for you. I'm done. And they understood that. They liked it. The very first thing I got published was, like I said, with the Right Deal, my story, Stardrift. They opened up a new section of their publishing thing. I guess they were already planning on doing, but they used my story, Stardrift, to jumpstart their Blue Leaf program, which you can go and self-publish and do that stuff. They did it for me all for free, and they were very, very kind to me, very, very, very delightful people. And once I had that encouragement underneath me, the book that we're speaking about now fell in line, and those people, Sarah Lungington, fell in love with this particular story. She's a King Arthur fan, and she writes herself a number of King Arthur-styled books and stories. Mm-hmm. And she fell in love with this particular story. It's not King Arthur. It's kind of in that framework, that time period, but definitely not King Arthur. So she liked it, and I was very pleased, very shocked when she had sent me a notice and said that she'd like to publish my story. And,
Great. I noticed it's, so they picked the cover, or they did the cover?
No, actually, I did the cover, technically.
You did the cover. I love that cover. Let me see if I can show it to don't. There.
There you go.
It's a picture.
Yeah, no, it was done by a young lady who does wicked designs out of Colorado, and she mainly, I'd say 85% of her business is she does covers for romance novels. And even though my story has romance, the romance in my story is a contentious type of romance. And I believe that a lot of them are, and that's the way the world works. But her name is Shar, and I wish I could pronounce her last name. She's 19 years old and goes to the University of Colorado and does an excellent job. She just finished the next book that that I'm hoping to publish, which is called Machines and the Little People. She just finished the cover for it, and it's really, really very pretty. I'm very, very happy with it.
Okay. Well, I'll get her name from you later then, because that's a great cover. I like it a lot.
Yeah, she does some really, mine is not as pretty as some of the other ones she does. They are just gorgeous. I mean, beautiful. When you look at the cover, you go, this is a romance book. You know it, right? This is a romance book. And the one she just finished for me, the Machines of the Little People, captured the mystery, the intrigue, captured everything that I wanted that story tells. And the quirkiness of my characters. And I was very, very pleased. Very, very pleased. And it's very cheap. She charges $75 for the whole cover and an ebook cover.
Oh, heavens, yeah, I'll have to get a hold of her. Okay, she sounds great. So you had the whole thing together before you were approached by this woman then, the publisher.
Yeah, I was ready to self-publish because, like I said, if I could do 144,000 sales a month, that's more than enough for me. And that was the direction I was getting ready to go. I was prepping to self-publish, and with the success of Stardrift at the right deal, I was considering Lulu and Smashwords and a couple of other places, and I had sent. I was getting ready to send these stories to the Amazon self-publishing, what that's called, KDP, or whatever their thing is, for Kindle.
Oh,
And so there's a lot of avenues for it to be, for you to self-publish.
And
moving that way.
Yeah. Okay. I think a lot of people are. Even some very famous authors are doing that now.
Yeah, there's good and there's bad to it, I guess, in my opinion. If you buy a traditional book, a printed book, then you know that somebody somewhere has read it and that it met the qualifier. I think pretty much everybody knows that for every one author that gets printed, 500 people did not.
Yeah.
So it means that somebody somewhere read it and said, okay, this is good enough to put down on paper. And so you have that level of assurance. And I think the biggest problem with self-publishing is you don't know what you're going to get, because there are people who scribble down almost anything and everything and then throw it up on the internet and start making money for whatever they're selling it for 99 cents or whatever it is. Without really a full-blown novel. Some of them are just a little more than pamphlets, that you paid $1 for, and some of them you pay as much as $5, some of them even more, to be able to get. And so there isn't anything, in my opinion, there isn't anything that gives you any assurance of quality or well-written, or that it's been edited, that things are spelled right or formatted correctly, or any of that kind of stuff. And that's my biggest concern about self-publishing.
And how about marketing? What's your advice to would-be writers about marketing?
Oh, gosh, I was under the impression I could come up with a good story, I could write it, I could get it published, I could live happily ever after. And I had no idea that even with a traditional publisher, that I would have to be the front man. I mean, I know you got to do a couple of book signings. You have to have a certain level of personal or public exposure. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really a public kind of a guy, and it's been a very difficult struggle for me because my job is very solitary. I spend a lot of time by myself, and to be thrown into that, it's very difficult for me to gauge whether or not everything's okay. I'm not really a people person. You know what I mean? That I'm not the, how are you doing? Yes, you keep it up. That's very difficult for me. And the marketing part of it is swimming uphill in the snow. It's harder than writing. It's harder than anything else I've done in my life. And I've done a lot of tough things, but this is really, really, really hard. Nobody tells you, they go, oh, it's going to be difficult. No, it's not. It's hard. It's really hard.
Well, you're probably an introvert. I think most writers are.
Well, I don't know if I'd go quite that far, but my schedule, I don't have a lot of time, a lot of personal time, and my work goes to 12, sometimes 14 hours a day, 5 days a week, and so it's difficult to find for those people, as part of my job, I always have to be Johnny on the spot. I always have to be nice. I always have to be pleasant. And well, let me tell you, sometimes that's really, really hard. Mm-hmm. And then if you try to incorporate that into marketing, it's difficult to be yourself and not be phony. At the same time, you're trying to, because I know how I feel, you get tired, you get bored right away with people. Buy my product, buy my book, buy my deep bathing suit, buy my song, you're bombarded with that every single day. And part of me is, I'm not comfortable with asking people to do that. You know what I mean? It's very difficult to say, I'm a good writer, I'm a fun writer, and you'll like what I like. If you don't, tell me. If you do, tell everybody else. Mm-hmm. But having to get on the internet and you join all the groups to try to get some level of exposure, you know. Up until this point, I've never done Twitter. This is my very first time with Skype. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm in Facebook. I've never done Facebook until the book was published, and I waited a month after the book was published before I got on Facebook. And my son had helped out with that to make things a little bit easier. But marketing is, I don't know, there has to be some better, easier way, something to be able to make it work, because if you wrote something that is good, and I'm prejudiced because it's my story, but how in the world do you get people to read it? You can go online. I can find 1,000 authors in 4 clicks. Yeah. But nobody labels themselves. I'm a reader of sci-fi. I'm a reader of fantasy. I'm a reader of, so those people are all in hiding. You have to figure out some way to be able to get to them. And I had always assumed that the publisher knew those tricks. That was the guy behind the curtain, and he knew how to do the magic to make that happen. I had no idea that I would have to be the guy to do that. And not just do it, but to figure it out. So it isn't like when you go down 3 blocks and turn to the left and go to the third house and knock on the door. There isn't even that. It's like, it's out there. All you have to do is go find it.
That's why I ask writers for tips, because so many people who watch this watch so that they can find out those things, what you found out.
Yeah, see, and that's what the problem is that everything is geared to the writer, and there isn't anything that I'm aware of that is geared to the reader. There are places that I go, like Writers Cafe and Authors Den, where you can go and you can read all kinds of stories, short stories, and things from 1,000 different people, and all for free, and you get a little level of exposure. And I like that. It has a level of anonymity that I appreciate and enjoy. I'm not altogether comfortable with showing my picture on the profile page, and my picture is always of dear heart and me, because I write it, and then I read it to her, and she goes, yeah, okay. And then I go back and I change something and go, okay, how about this way? Does this sound better this way? And she's, so I can appreciate the effort she's given, because she's heard the story 1,500 times in 30 different ways.
Yeah.
Until I get on one that when she finally goes, just leave it alone, it's fine, move on. So when she's tired of hearing me try to figure out the last word, and then I'm ready to go to the next one. So.
And do you have a website?
I do. Tegonmoss.com.
Okay.
And it's the same as everybody else. It's just an advertisement for a couple of novels, the 3 or 4 that I have out that are being carried either digitally or paperback. And I have maybe 6 or 8 short stories here that people can read for free.
Okay.
That's another thing about marketing. I'm not sure what a web page is supposed to look like. What captivates them, short of having an arm come out of the screen and hold on to them so they can't get away. I'm stuck.
Okay, well, I would like to recommend that the viewers go to tvbackstory.com and read Tegon's article and link up to his website and buy this book. Littlefield Chronicles. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity and the time.